When someone makes a move of which we don't approve, who is it that always intervenes? UN and OASA have their place, I guess, but first, send the Marines. We'll send them all we got, John Wayne and Randolph Scott. Remember those exciting fighting scenes, to the shores of Tripoli, but not to Mississippi. What do? We send the Marines. For might makes right, until they've seen the light. They've got to be protected, all their rights respected, till somebody we like can be elected. Members of the Corps all hate the thought of war. They'd rather kill them off by peaceful means. Stop calling it aggression. Ooh, we hate that expression. We only want the world to know that we support the status quo. They love us everywhere we go, so when in doubt, send Marines.
Suffering is here. Life is Skittles and life is beer. I think the loveliest time of the year is the spring. I do, don't you?
Of course you do.
But there's one thing that makes spring complete for me. It makes every Sunday a treat for me. All the world sings in tune on a spring afternoon, when we're poisoning pigeons in the park. Every Sunday you'll see my sweetheart and me as we poison the pigeons in the park. When they see us coming, the birdies all try and hide, but they still go for peanuts when coated with cyanide. The sun's shining bright, everything seems alright when we're poisoning pigeons in the park. We've gained notoriety and caused much anxiety in the Audubon Society. With our games, they call it impiety and lack of propriety, and quite a variety of unpleasant names. But it's not against any religion to want to dispose of a pigeon. So if someday you're free, why don't you come with me and we'll poison the pigeons in the park? And maybe we'll do in a squirrel or two while we're poisoning pigeons in the park. And maybe we'll do in a squirrel or two while we're poisoning pigeons in the park. We'll murder them all amid laughter at merriment, except for the few we take home to experiment. My pulse will be quickening with a drop of strychnine. Me feed to a pigeon, it just takes a smidgen to pens and a pigeon in the park. To a pigeon, it just takes a smidgen, some boys and a pigeon in the pack.
The creative director at WGSO had a little something he thought you should know. When Dan picked on his bits, Steve got real gruff. So Steve called Dan a flake, called him liberal dandruff. Steve thinks that his lines are really clever, but when do people ever like him? Never. Liberal Dan's got better lyrics, this is true. Listen and you'll feel like I do. Liberal Dan, his show is great. Liberal Dan, he goes live at 8. Liberal Dan radio, it's the best, cause Liberal Dan's head and shoulders above the rest. Steve's about to find out his mistake. In this feud, Dan's Kendrick, Steve is Drake. Dan might not be the world's best singer, but he's got more talent in his little finger. Steve thinks that his lines are really clever, but when do people ever like him? Never. Liberal Dan's got better lyrics, this is true. Listen and you'll feel like I do. Liberal Dan, his show is great. Liberal Dan, he goes live at 8. Liberal Dan radio, it's the best, cause Liberal Dan's head and shoulders above the rest. Proclaimed king, a groper in chief, stealing our country, a crooked orange thief. Faux patriots who are poorly educated, wearing red hats and also unvaccinated. Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. Liberal Dan radio, talk from the left, that's right. A failing media that's barely treading water. They're too inept to fight this new world order. Corporate pigs are at the trough, hear the squeals. The swine won't bite the hands that feeds them meals. But Liberal Dan will see us flow. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. Liberal Dan radio, talk from the left, that's right. A leftist voice on air, exposing MAGA treason, breaking through their lies with facts, logic, and reason. Unmasking hypocrisy, the truth will be our guide. Call out their lies, justice is on our side. Cause Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. Liberal Dan radio, talk from the left, that's right. Liberal Dan radio, talk from the left, that's right.
And welcome back to Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. This is your host, Dan Zimmerman, coming at you from New Orleans, Louisiana. I don't know if we're going to open the phone lines today, simply because of the fact that I didn't sleep well last night. I'm tired. I don't know if my back issues are pertaining to the kidney thing or to my back thing, but I will be having my kidney thing dealt with tomorrow in the morning. So we'll see how that goes. And because of that, I'll probably want to try and get a good night's sleep at least. So we're probably not going to go too terribly long today. So we probably won't open the phone lines. So if you do want to call in, well, you can wait till Monday. But if you do want to ask questions, etc., see, I'm yawning already. You can either comment on liberaldanradio.com, on the show thread, on the live feed, or at twitch.liberaldanradio.com. Either way gets you there. You can support the show by always liking, subscribing, sharing, buy Liberal Dan memberships on YouTube or subscriptions on Twitch. It's free to do so if you have Amazon Prime. So support the show that way. But, most important thing is to help the algorithm. Al Gore needs more rhythm. If you want a shirt that says Al Gore needs more rhythm, you could go buy one at store.liberaldan.com. The link is on the main page here on YouTube. One of the mods will probably also share the direct link to my stepsister store. You can also Patreon me, patreon.com/liberaldan or patreon.liberaldan.com, Venmo, Liberal Dan. Go to Buy Me Cider, liberaldan.com, click the Buy Me Cider button, or go to buymeacoffee.com/liberaldanradio. Either way gets you there, or become a Liberal Dan Radio patron. Patreon.com/liberaldan or patreon.liberaldan.com. Both ways get you there as well. So, a little bit of stuff to talk about today. Adding on to some personal stuff, I guess. Not only is the kidney pew-pews at the tomorrow, a little later. I thought it was going to have to be there for 8. I have to be there for 10 now, and it's going to start at noon. So there's that. And then what else? I have the planned left knee replacement in August 14th, and then I have the right knee replacement sometime afterwards. And I'm also getting a colonoscopy on the 5th of August. So we're just hitting everything because getting old really sucks. Don't do it. Try not to get old, folks. If you can avoid it, try not to get old. Erin is wearing her Liberal Dan Radio Al Gore rhythm shirt right now. So thank you, Erin, for making that purchase. Hopefully I'll have mine soon. Anyway, so I was having a little bit of a laugh the other day because I had a little bit of a thing. Remember when I was talking about how after my procedure I have the stent, and the stent's going to have a string, and I'll have to pull out the stent at some point later? And I had some questions about that, but the thing I was also worrying about is if this little string is going to be hanging out, I'm probably going to have to wear long pants around the house because I have 3 cats. And we all know cats like to play with strings, and we definitely don't want the cat playing with that string. So, anyway, Trucker John's in the chat. Good to see you, Trucker John. Remember to please support his show as well. And also all the other creators who come into the chat, make sure to give them your support as well. Subscribe to the channel. Become a member over there. Be a bad mother trucker, as I like to call Trucker John's fans. We got Roxanne, we got Big Hook, we got Jeff from just north of Uranus, Steve from across the pond, we got the Mod Squad, Jolie and Aaron, Mad Max, Slava Ukraini. If I've missed you, let me know. Progressively Independent. Let's just scroll back a little more. Tim Farrell, good to see you, Tim. Asks if I'm on the list. I'm assuming you're meaning the Epstein client list. Again, see, I'm already fading. No, not that I'm aware of, unless, Donald Trump alters it and, swaps out, does a copy and replace and be like, let's replace all of the dimensions of my name and put Liberal Dan on it instead. I doubt he would want to target me. He probably has no frickin' idea who I am, even though my AI music is some of the best in the industry, right? At least it's better than the WGSO guys. I was going to go back to work tonight, but then I said, screw it. Sometimes you have to take some personal time for yourself to rest, relax, etc. Wait, what? Colonoscopies are fun. Jeff, there goes Jolie talking about her sex life again, even though Impeccable Living's not here at the moment.
Oh my.
Yes. Anyway, so Bondi goes on to say to Patel, by 8 o'clock tomorrow, 2025, the FBI would deliver the full, complete Epstein files to my office. She has 200 and was expecting much, much more to come. Exactly. Which is why, you had, what was it? What's his face? Shallow Eyes. Talking about wanting to show that he wasn't going to talk about Epstein anymore. And then he had to come back the next day and be like, no. I only meant that I wasn't going to talk about Epstein later on this show, but I was going to keep talking about it other shows. So, have to be very careful with how you word things, I guess. But still, old Shallow Eyes doesn't, wants to make sure that he doesn't lose his MAGA supporters who are supporting the Epstein thing. Well, we're not going to talk about this all the time, but I think it's very important to bring up all the areas in which this administration is failing to, A, do what they promised, and B, failing their own supporters. Because, look, if Donald Trump fails in most aspects, that's a good thing for this country. But when it comes to this, actually, if there is an Epstein file, an Epstein client list, if there's an official list of people who Epstein had as clients in his child sex trafficking, then by all means, show everybody the list, because they should all be buried under the prison. But we all know that there's only one logical reason as to why Donald Trump wouldn't release the list, and that's because he's on it. Let's see, got to read the text before that one then. Let's see, what did I miss? They have the letter from Bondi to Patel saying she received 200 pages, blah, blah, blah. Epstein flight logs, his contact list, the list of victims and their phone numbers. Shit hits the fan, baby. There you go. Exactly. Yes. So, and again, shouts out to Big Hook. Did I say shout out to Big Hook, whatever? See, moving is my worst nightmare. Enjoy your evening, Truck John. Yeah, moving sucks. I'm glad I haven't had to do it in a while. Orvilleby's over in the Twitch chat. Good to see you over there, Orville. Thank you for joining us. Let's see. First thing I want to talk about today briefly, and just briefly, because Israel attacked Syria now, expanding, I guess, who they want to strike out against in the Middle East. And Israel says that they were trying to do it to protect the Druze, the D-R-U-Z-E, the Druze, not the Jews, but the Druze. Funny, she just looked Jewish. Anyway, but of course Syria is like, this is more Israeli actions. And at the end of the day, what this really is just more distractions. It might be a horrible action, but it's distractions on the part of whoever to be able to make us try and forget all the other things. Just like Donald Trump was trying to distract from all this Epstein BS, that he won't release the list by trying to go after Rosie O'Donnell and try and claim that he wants to revoke her citizenship, even though he has no ability to do that. Good to see you, One Vision. Seha, holy crap, it's you. Let's see, Jeff, he has lost some maggots. I got an idea how we would win them back, and fast he starts walking around asking Democrats to pull his finger. Pull my finger. I don't think Donald Trump needs anybody to pull his finger to deal with any issues. I mean, have you seen his swollen ankles and everything? And there's some issues going on with his health that he's not telling anybody about that are plainly obvious. And why can't natural causes take their stop taking their sweet ass time and actually do something, right? Here we go, natural causes. Yay, let's go. Let's see, what scares me is if Russia pivots to Israel in defense of Syria and Iran. That would be concerning. That would also be concerning because then Donald Trump would really have to take sides, because Donald Trump said the other day that I don't have a side in the whole Ukrainian invasion, the invasion of Ukraine from Russia. He actually wouldn't say it that way, but he would call it the Russian-Ukraine war. I have no sides. I'm not on the side of Ukraine. I'm not on the side of Russia. Of course, he's beholden to Russia, so the idea that he's not on the side of Russia is just crap. He probably had to get the okays from Putin to be like, it's okay, you can say these things and talk hard about me, give your blusters, we can take it. Anyway, good to see you, J&M Insights. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you. Remember to smash that like button and hit subscribe. And let's get rid of a spammer over on Twitch. Let's see. Trump has announced, I guess in another needless distraction, that Coca-Cola has agreed to start selling Coca-Cola products in the United States with natural cane sugar instead of high fructose corn syrup. You know, like Mexican Coke that's already sold in the United States. If you want a Coca-Cola with real sugar and not high fructose corn syrup, you can always buy Mexican Coke. So I don't know what the hell Donald Trump is talking about with this, but I mean, look, when Pepsi came out with their throwback Pepsis and were using real sugar instead of HFCS, I was thrilled, tickled pink. They did a Mountain Dew version as well. Those two were freaking delicious. One of the reasons why I'm fat. Probably. I mean, soda is still, one of my banes of my existence and trying to lose weight, I guess, more quickly than I would like, or that I would like to lose weight more quickly, but I probably am not because, some of them are. Although, when I was at the doctor today, and he was very impressed with the fact that I'd lost 120 pounds, and then I looked at, I did the math on it, and I was like, holy crap. I actually have lost pretty much a quarter of my body size from my biggest, from my largest, from my fattest. So, good thing for me. Oh, by the way, now if we lose power tonight, usually I have a little bit of leeway when it comes to my power backup that I have down here, where I still will be able to connect to the internet for a little bit longer after the power goes out, if it goes out. Hopefully it doesn't, knock on wood. But we are having storming because some of the, I guess, initial storms from what crossed Florida are coming through our area. So if I do happen to get knocked offline before that, sorry, but we have weather. So you can sort of say Mexico gets healthy for you by the emission of high fructose corn syrup. And it bothers me that, that's one of the things that RFK Jr. rails about is high fructose corn syrup and how dangerous it is or whatever. And it may very well be, but I hate having to agree with RFK Jr. on anything. So, but one of the reasons that Donald Trump is doing this is probably because he's trying to throw RFK Jr. some bones as to what he would like to see as part of his job as head of the Department of Health here in the United States of America. But yeah. But here's one thing I'm wondering that I haven't heard anybody discuss yet when it comes to this real sugar versus high fructose corn syrup. What are the corn farmers going to say? I mean, Donald Trump is trying to save the farmers by doing all these other things that are hypocritical and not taking away their labor while deporting everybody else who is here and not doing harm to anybody. What are the corn farmers going to say? If the corn farmers, I mean, there's a lot of corn farms in like South Carolina and Georgia or whatever. We were passed through a whole crap ton of them as we were making our way, meandering across the South. And holy crap, there's a lot of corn that's being grown out there. And if you take away the demand for their corn and instead, have Coke use sugarcane instead, that's going to hit those corn farmers pretty hard. Now, Louisiana has a lot of sugar farmers, and they'll be happy to hear it. Of course, if we don't manufacture enough sugar in this country and we have to import sugar, how are tariffs going to affect that? Is Coke now going to be more expensive because we don't have enough sugar? Or even if the Coca-Cola products get to use the sugar that's made here in America because they scoop it all up, then all the other products that use sugar would then have to import their sugar, and if they're importing sugar from countries with tariffs on them, then the price of goods are going to come up. Inflation is like at its highest. Prices have increased the most, I think, this month since February. So will Donald Trump pushing Coca-Cola and other soft drink manufacturers to use real sugar, how will that affect our prices because people may have to pay tariffs on imported sugar? Do you hear that anything else on any other podcast, radio show, media outlet, whatever? It's kind of insight I try to bring here on Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left. That's right. But the name of this show, well, actually, first, before we want to talk about that, let's talk about Eric Adams for a second. The current mayor of New York, who's running for re-election as an independent because he didn't want to go into the Democratic primary. According to Politico, Eric Adams posts massive fundraising haul for general election run. The incumbent has become the favored candidate in the city's business and moneyed class, despite rock-bottom poll numbers. So these people don't want to see Mamdani win, obviously, because, you know, he's a Democratic socialist and he's on the left. And Eric Adams is Donald Trump's little bitch because, you know, he stopped prosecuting him on the charges that he was charged with. So that makes, but he didn't do it, and he didn't say let's drop the charges with prejudice. There's no prejudice there. Well, Donald Trump is prejudiced, but there's no prejudice when it comes to, you know, whether or not they can bring the charges back. So because Donald Trump can hold that over his head, guess what? Eric Adams is Donald Trump's little bitch. All Mamdani would have to do is say, vote for me because I'm not Donald Trump's little bitch like Eric Adams, and you should be able to make a good political campaign point on that. But the real estate business is a large source of a lot of the influx of funds. Haven't been able to find specific donors who I could be critical of, but we've already seen there are a lot of people who are on the in the Democratic Party who are supporting Eric Adams instead of the officially nominated in the primary Democratic nominee of Mamdani. So, you know, fuck all them too, because we don't need Donald Trump's little bitch as mayor of New York City. We need somebody who's going to be independent. But anyway, so once we can find out who has been giving additional money to Adams, we will find out. We know it's real estate. We know it's real estate interests, but maybe there will be other ones. You know. Anyway, Cuomo is lagging post-primary. Cuomo was trying to run, even though he lost the primary, and I guess run as an independent or whatever. But he's probably not going to have any shot in hell. And again, was it Bill Clinton that endorsed Cuomo first in the Democratic primary? Yeah. Fuck off. I've been having a lot of fuck off times when it comes to former Democratic presidents, because if you endorse somebody who was accused of sexually assaulting that many people, odds are he did it. I mean, that's probably why Donald Trump loves him, because birds of a feather flock together, or some other word, together. But yeah, don't back somebody like that. If you don't want people bringing up your accusations against you, don't back somebody like that, right? Does it make sense? Anyway, drives me nuts. And of course, it was only Bill Clinton, not Hillary, which I think is very telling as well. But this show, we are talking about Biden derangement syndrome for a little bit at least, simply because of the fact that every MAGA accusation, every conservative accusation is a confession. So when they start talking about how the people who are against Trump are suffering from TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, in reality, it's those people who are, you know, suffering from BDS, i.e. Biden derangement syndrome. So, and what are some examples of this? People who can't get their facts straight. Conservative media types who can't get their facts straight. And here we got Bill O'Reilly. O'Reilly is a dumbass. Yeah. Anyway, so here is Bill O'Reilly on News Nation discussing this whole thing about Epstein and who's nominated.
I don't think Donald Trump has any power over Merrick Garland. But who exactly should he order Pam Bondi to answer questions from other than you and me?
The press. I mean, just hold a press conference and invite the former Attorney General Garland. If he doesn't come.
O'Reilly's looking really bad, by the way. I mean, horrible.
Put an empty chair there with his picture on it, because Garland had the information that the Trump people have for 4 years. This is more of a mystery than it is a crisis. I disagree with the word crisis. I don't think it's a crisis for the country. It might be a political.
I mean, it could be a crisis of the country simply because, you know, We have people who are continuing to support a pedophile, potentially. I mean, it's my personal beliefs that the accusation against Donald Trump are true in all forms because he's a piece of shit. But, you know, if he really is a pedophile, if he really is supporting other and protecting other pedophiles, then that's a dangerous person to have in the Oval Office.
Detriment to the Republican Party and Donald Trump, but it's not a crisis for the country. There's no evidence that there's any cover-up of a pedophile ring or any of that. And without such evidence, it just becomes a curiosity. But it is a dangerous situation because Americans are starting to lose credibility with the Justice Department. And
Wouldn't it be the other way around, that the Justice Department is losing credibility with Americans? I mean, maybe Billow is having some issues, like cognitive issues as well.
Many millions of Americans believe fix is always in for the rich and powerful. It's always in. And they were hoping that President Trump would blast that. And now the president he's not doing anything actively. But certainly he could order Pam Bondi.
He's not doing anything actively in front of the cameras. Now, whether or not he's doing things actively behind the cameras to basically tell Bondi, don't you dare put my name out there, bury these files because I'm in them. I mean, he's probably doing things actively behind the scenes, but let's continue.
Have a press conference and in general terms, tell the folks what the Justice Department knows, what they found out. Now, my reporting says it is not Pam Bondi who's making any decisions at all. It is the Assistant Attorney General, Todd Blanche. Do you know that name?
Sure.
Todd Blanche?
Yeah.
So he was Trump.
So Pam Bondi is not in charge? She's not making decisions when it comes to this? What? I mean, that's not a good person to have as your AG if you're not making decisions about things that are important, especially things that are high visibility, such as this.
Trump's lawyer.
Right.
Tim Farrell goes, O'Reilly is not wrong, really. Oh, we'll get there.
In the New York City stuff. And Trump really trusts him. And he has far more access to Donald Trump than Ms. Bondi does. And from what I'm being told, I believe it's accurate, Blanche has basically said, look, if we give out too much specific information, we're opening a lot of doors here that our opponents are going to run with and make things up and take out a...
if you give them evidence, why is it making things up? If the information is released that opponents can use against you, then it's not making things up. It's showing the evidence that exists. Maybe Billow is on the list too.
Context, which is absolutely true. But to guard your flank, you have to respect your supporters. And your supporters, most of them want a pretty good idea of what the Justice Department knows. Does that make sense to you?
And why did they want it? Because Donald Trump promised it. He campaigned on it. He told them that it would happen.
I don't believe it. Because the reporting a couple of days ago, well, a few things. One, I didn't say it was a crisis for the country. I said it was a political crisis for Donald Trump. But number two, I think what you're saying is a little different than what you said last week, because last week you were saying the reason that this isn't being released is because Trump, who is the president, he has absolute authority here, was worried that by releasing all of the names, the client list that Pam Bondi said she had and now somehow says doesn't exist, that it would be guilt.
I just love somehow says something exists. I love that. I love that they're just turning on them.
By association, right? If you were associated with Epstein, everyone then was going to have to prove they were not a pedophile. That, to me, though, is very different than what you just said about Todd Blanche, number one. But number two,
shouldn't it be called off balance?
There's no journalist in the world that should accept that. So you're saying there's Trump friends. You're saying there's Trump friends.
I use the word general, okay? Because I assume that people watching last week on this program remember what I said, and I wrote it on BillO'Reilly.com, that you cannot give out specific names.
That's a weird emphasis on the syllable, BillO'Reilly.com. Hey?
Because those people would be damned. the media would run wild with it, not put it into context. You can't ruin lives like that. I didn't think I had...
Not put it into context. You're an Epstein client. You paid Epstein for access to this horrible shit. How is it being put out of context? Now, look, I have said in the show before, like, flight logs could be different because you don't know that every single example of, you know, flights to the island was behind anything nefarious. There could have been, like, fundraising events without trafficking involved that, you know, maybe somebody might have been innocently all caught up in that. But when it comes to the client list, that's a whole different ball of wax.
To restate that.
So then why did Pam Bondi say she was going to release it? Why did Pam, like, why did Trump run on releasing everything?
I have no idea. That is the mystery. Why did Pam Bondi say, I have a list on my desk?
Because she did, and now she doesn't want to release it because it'll make her boss look bad or worse, depending on what your output is.
And I'm looking it over, and we're going to release it. I don't know.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe.
Well, that actually... I thought that was going to have the full thing that I was looking forward to seeing. It does not. Let's go ahead and mute that real quick. And there's a better clip that I can play. Hold on. Let me load that one up. It just happens to be on my Facebook page. Boop-a-doop-a-doo. Do-do-do-do-do. Come on. Let's load. There we go. Let's full screen it. So here's more of this conversation that happened between old Billo and this dude discussing what went on with this Epstein thing.
Right. Because Epstein was convicted during the Biden administration. Not one time did Hakeem Jeffrey call for...
You see what he's doing right now? See what the other guy's doing right now? He's doing what sometimes I do when somebody mentions something on the phone and when somebody calls in and I want to verify it. He's Googling something right now just to make sure that he has his facts right, which is actually pretty impressive for somebody on the right, because usually conservatives don't give a crap about what the facts are. They just want to, you know, make their points. But he looks like he's Googling and he looks deep in thought.
Or any exposition of what the Biden Justice Department knew. He doesn't care about the truth.
Wait,
he doesn't care about the people.
Hold on. Bill.
This is what
hold on.
he
I
does.
just gotta, hold on, Bill. Hold on. You said Epstein was convicted during the Biden administration. Epstein committed during the Trump administration.
Yeah, so am I wrong on that?
He was arrested in 2019, and he committed in 2019. He died August 10th of 2019. So the Biden administration was not involved in a conviction or a trial of him. They were in of Elaine Maxwell.
Okay. But he was arrested and indicted.
Tim, he was checking Hegseth's signal chat. Good one.
Under Merrick Garland.
No, under Trump.
Who had all of the information.
Epstein was arrested, indicted under Trump in 2019. Trump was president. Merrick Garland was not the attorney general.
Billo is having some cognitive issues there. His brain is resetting. He's completely lost. He knew it had to be Biden to be blamed because he has Biden derangement syndrome. Because they're obsessed with trying to pin everything on Biden. And shockingly enough, this other conservative is saying, no, you're wrong. It didn't happen under Biden. I mean, this is something that Bill O'Reilly is doing what Trump would do, which is try and, mislead the people and lie to the people about what's actually going on when, pissing on them and telling them that it's raining. Although normally it was Trump that likes to be pissed on. But anyway. Blank stare.
Okay.
Okay. That's all I can say about it. Okay. So, again, just one more example of Biden derangement syndrome. Because, again, every conservative accusation is a confession. When they start claiming that people have Biden derangement syndrome, it's not Biden derangement syndrome. It's not Trump derangement syndrome. It's Biden derangement. When they say that people have Trump derangement syndrome, they're trying to distract from the fact that they have Biden derangement syndrome. Easy for me to say. Again, I'm tired. That's why this show is not going to be the longest show that I've ever had by a long shot. But he's not the only one with the cognitive issues. He's clearly not the only one with the cognitive issues, because Donald Trump also seems to have cognitive issues. Donald Trump seems to forget that things took place during his administration. Actually, he believes it took place out of his administration. Let's look at this clip, shall we? From NBC News.
He's a terrible Fed chair. I was surprised he was appointed. I was surprised, frankly, that Biden put him in and extended him.
He was surprised that Biden put him in and extended him. Now, if he would have said he was shocked that Biden extended him, then maybe he would have had a little leeway there. But no, he's saying Biden put him in and extended him. It kind of sounds a little bit kinky there.
Oh my.
Anyway, let's continue.
It is my pleasure and my honor to announce my nomination of Jerome Powell to be the next chairman of the Federal Reserve. Congratulations.
So, again, these MAGA conservatives wanted to talk about sleepy Joe Biden, how Joe Biden didn't have the cognitive abilities. They want to misquote the letter that was written as to why charges couldn't be brought against Biden, and trying to say, oh, it's because Biden was old. It wasn't because Biden was old. It wasn't the oldness itself that caused it. It was the fact that they feared that juries would look at him as a sympathetic person being prosecuted because of his age. But it wasn't, we can't put him on trial because he's old and doesn't have the cognitive abilities. It's, we don't think we can win because the jury is going to look at him as a sympathetic person, which is a big difference that these idiots don't seem to get. But remember this. Also remember this. Remember when they were questioning whether or not Biden was making the decisions as it pertained to the auto pen and like the signing of executive orders, the pardons or whatever they might have given? There's this big old conspiracy that Biden had no say in approving it. Now, Biden just recently came out and said, yes, he gave the people and said, sign these with the auto pen or whatever. So he told them to do it. I think, but again, every conservative accusation is a confession. Who's the one appointed to Powell? Trump. Happened during Trump's, but he doesn't know who appointed him. There's two possibilities there. Either somebody else was making the decisions for him at the time, as such he wouldn't know, which would be wrong, would be a bad thing to do if other people were running the government behind, using Donald Trump as a puppet, because he already lost the cognitive abilities by that point and couldn't actually function as a, working president. Or the other option is his cognitive abilities have declined so much that he doesn't remember what he did during his own presidency. And if it's the second one, clearly there's a 25th Amendment issue to be made there. Right? And of course, back on Epstein for a little bit, Donald Trump was talking about the people who are still complaining about Epstein, people who still want the Epstein thing to be talked about.
Why do you think your supporters in particular have been so interested in the Epstein story and so upset about how it's been handled? Why do you?
Well, the real answer is because he campaigned on it. All the conservative media were saying that Donald Trump was going to be the one who would release the list. They would release the client list if you elected Donald Trump, and all these pedos will go to prison. That's what they campaigned on.
What do you think that is?
Why they would be so interested. He's dead for a long time.
Why they would be so interested. Again, y'all fanned the flames. That's why they're interested.
He was never a big factor in terms of life.
I don't even know what that means.
I don't understand what the interest or what the fascination is.
You created it by making it a big deal.
I really don't. And the credible information's been given. Don't forget, we went through years of the Mueller witch hunt and all of the different things.
The Mueller witch hunt, the whatever report, whatever.
The Steele dossier, which was all fake. All that information was fake. but I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody.
Because you made it an interest to people.
It's pretty boring stuff. It's sordid, but it's boring. And I don't understand why it keeps going. I think really only pretty bad people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going. But credible information, let them give it. Anything that's credible, I would say let them.
So only bad people would be pushing this. No, again, every Republican or every conservative accusation is a confession. So by him calling the other people bad people, he's really, basically confessing that he's the bad person, because only bad people would not want a list release, because the only reason to not want the list release is because you're on it. I'm wondering how Jeff Crarer feels. Jeff Crarer, one of the conservative hosts, the conservative people that we've discussed on the show a lot. WGSO Ringside Politics. He airs every day. And he's been talking for a while now. He was complaining that Bondi never released the files. He hadn't released the files yet. And even some of his guests were like, well, maybe give them time. Maybe they need more time to go through everything to make sure to dot every I and cross every T. But he's like, no, they promised us to give it to us, and they're not giving it to us. And now Donald Trump is saying that the only people who would be interested in this are bad people? So apparently, I guess Donald Trump thinks that Jeff Crarer is a bad person. I love MAGA infighting. Again, I would love to have some more popcorn, although I'm probably trying not to eat for the rest of the night simply because of the fact that, I have a surgery tomorrow, and, they tell you not to eat past midnight, and actually have extended my amount of time that I, would go without food. However, because of the Zepbound, and they actually told me to take the Zepbound, not take the Zepbound within 7 days of the procedure too, so I took it 8 days ago, or 7 days ago from today, so it'll be 8 days tomorrow, because the Zepbound makes you process the food slower. So I'm making sure that that's not in my body for the procedure. I'm making sure that I'm going to stop. I have stopped eating for the day already, even though I don't have to stop until midnight, just to make sure that I'm ready to go for my procedure. Where is it going with that part? I don't know. Anyway, so I forget where I was going with that part. Certain Monkey goes, is it Trump's inability to write his own name and the ease of which Trump's ghouls sign shit into legislation the problem they have, and now they slur the good name of Biden? It's childish. Well, Donald Trump is childish. He is absolutely childish. I mean, we've seen many examples of that. So, let's see, what's it? Well, there it is. There's no real news left of Trump. They're all fake. Exactly. Everybody is who's criticizing Trump are bad people. They're the worst people. There's no worse people than the people who are worrying about Jeffrey Epstein. So, no popcorn, Dan, only poop corn. It's a MAGA thing. Yes, no poop corn. But yeah, we definitely need the 25th Amendment invoked. But of course, they won't do it yet. It'll take him calling enough people bad people. I mean, what? The Republicans in was it the Senate or the House that voted to not release the Epstein files unanimously. Again, I wonder how Jeff Crarer feels about that. The Republicans all voting unanimously. Then, of course, Speaker Johnson from old Louisiana says that they should be released. The files should be released. Well, then why didn't you support the legislation to require the release? Why not make a commission, a little commission that can look into and investigate all the Epstein stuff and why this information? Then you could subpoena the files and subpoena the administration. And then you have to deal with the administration who'll tell you to go fuck off because they have immunity and because the Supreme Court gave them, immunity and the ability to, ignore Congress, pretty much. So, all right, Roxanne Armfield, I found loosey-goosey weddings are the most entertaining. I mean, if our ceremony was any shorter, it would have been the Spaceballs wedding when we got married. I mean, we was July 7th in the middle of New Orleans, and we got married outside. So of course we were going to have a very, very short ceremony because we didn't want everybody dying of heat. It wasn't to you, yes, good, you married, kiss her. It wasn't quite that. But I think the longest part of the ceremony was when my uncle and my dad played at Dan Fogelberg's Longer Than while Cassie was walking down the aisle and played like the entire freaking song, which is fine, you know, whatever. But because here's just a little thing about me. When I was, usually, you know, there's this perception that young girls are the only ones that think about their weddings when they grow up. Well, when I was a young child, like 5, 6 years old, maybe even younger, but I do remember saying this, that I thought the Dan Fogelberg song, Longer, was a very pretty song, and that one day when I get married, I'd like to have my bride walk down the aisle to that song. And it happened. So there you go. Oh, like the... Are we still on farts in the chat? I think there are a lot of people talking... they tried that with the 5-ton food being short. Yes, J&M Insights. Yes, that is ridiculous. I didn't have enough time to really look into that as much, but I did see the reporting on a little bit of reporting on that they had five, was it million or billion in food that could have been sent off to like third world countries or whatever to help people not starve for weeks or whatever. And they said, no, we're just going to burn the food. We're going to incinerate the food. Normally, if you want to incinerate the food, just give it to, you know, people who don't know how to cook, and that'll happen. But no, they're just going to incinerate the stuff. Wait, Impeccable Living is here?
Oh my.
Hello, Impeccable Living. But let's see. Molly is here. Good to see you, Molly. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you. It's a joy to see you. What else? Let's change the background here for a smidge because we do have another topic to talk about. Gavin Newsom wants to redraw the maps as kind of a last resort. According to Politico, Newsom jolts California with bid to throw out House maps. Gavin Newsom suddenly can't stop talking about Texas gerrymandering and a provocative idea to counter it in California. On podcasts and local social media, the California governor has threatened that if Texas follows President Trump's advice and redraws its congressional districts to shore up GOP's slender majority, California should throw out its own maps to boost Democrats, circumventing or overhauling the state's voter-approved redistricting commission. It's a proposal capturing the imagination of the Democratic Party, spoiling for another fight with Republicans and desperate to regain a foothold in Washington. This week, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries privately huddled with members of the California legislation to discuss redistricting. And in California, text threads are ablaze with discussions, blah, blah, blah. But it's also a long shot, blah, blah, blah. Trying to save democracy by destroying democracy is dangerous and foolish, said Assemblymember Alex Lee, the head of the legislature's Progressive Caucus. By legitimizing the race to the bottom of gerrymandering, Democrats will ultimately lose. No, Democrats are going to lose because y'all don't have a fucking spine. Y'all won't stand up to what the hell's going on by the Republicans. You will sit there and let the Republicans do whatever it is that they want to do, but yet you'll complain when the Democrats, Newsom has the frickin' balls to try and stand up and do something about this. I've been saying this for a while now, that if the Republicans are going to continue to gerrymander this badly, look, Democrats do gerrymander. Don't get me wrong. We've shown the maps of Illinois, Maryland. There are definitely horribly drawn maps in both of those democratically run states. That being said, you know, the Republicans turned it into an art form, a horrible art form, but they've turned it into an art form. And we need to, if they're going to play dirty, we have to play dirty too. We can't just take the high ground and be like, oh, we're better than that. That's just the Republicans being Republicans, and we're better than that. Fuck off. Or as a Democratic political consultant granted anonymity to speak freely put it, the idea of taking away the power of the citizens and giving back to the politicians, the optics of it is horrendous and indefensible. Why isn't the optics of what Texas is wanting to do horrible and indefensible? Why aren't you blaming the Republicans for doing that? No, the Republicans do it, and you're like, oh, that's just the Republicans being Republicans. And if it was like a moderate centrist Democrat, I could be like, okay, maybe I can see them why they're doing that, because too many moderate centrist Democrats are too wishy-washy to be able to actually take a stand on things that are important. But this is somebody who's the head of the Progressive Caucus, spelled wrong on Politico's website. Consultant said that's insane. It's a crazy hill to die. All right, so we're going to not die on that hill, but we're going to die on the hill of being, you know, better than them. We can hold our heads up high and say we didn't do the wrong thing while the Republican Nazis take over. Yeah, sometimes you have to play dirty to deal with the people who are playing dirty. You have to beat them at their own game. Newsom defended the proposal as a break the emergency glass measure to preserve he has cast as America's besieged democracy, arguing that Democrats have to become more aggressive and creative to have a shot at blocking Trump's agenda. Exactly. Newsom is 100% right here. I'm going to be the guy I'm not going to be the guy who said I coulda, shoulda, woulda. I'm not going to be passive in this moment, Newsom told reporters. Now, of course, he's trying to run for president, so he needs to be strong. He needs to show strength. He needs to show that he's going to think outside the box. He needs to show that he's going to be gruff. Newsom is not without support of the party. After the Democrats throttling in November, a lot of people are looking for a fight in the Democratic Party. Newsom's response to Texas is the kind of thing I think they're looking for. Yes, I am looking for that. We need more people like that to stand up against the damn Republican bullies, the Republican Nazis, who are using every cheat in the book to try and maintain power. Newsom is not alone in his frustration with Texas. Democrats around the country are decrying Texas' move to withdraw seats, particularly. Yeah, but where's the media doing? Where are people saying, oh, the Republicans are breaking democracy by doing this, blah, blah, blah. Republicans have been doing this for years, and we finally have somebody who wants to stand up, and you have progressive people who are going to say, we can't do that. It's wrong. Again, sometimes you have to fight dirty to beat the people who are fighting dirty. Lofgren, a dean of delegation, played roles in California Democrats' previous redistricting pushes. As former chair of the congressional whatever, blah, blah, blah. If Texas moves forward with an egregious mid-decade redistricting, this cannot go unanswered, said Lofgren. And Aguilar, the Democratic caucus chair, said in a statement, if their record of throwing 17 million people off their health insurance had to hand out billionaires' tax base was popular, they wouldn't have to redraw their maps to try and hold power. Exactly. Ooh, there's lightning out there. Anyway, but again, the Texas folks are doing this. The Texas folks, the Republicans here, are, again, Democrats do something, oh my God, it's the end of democracy, Republicans are doing that, whatever. And remember what happened in New York. The New York Democrats redrew the lines to try and, you know, make it so that, you know, hey, we could have a fighting chance in the Congress. And the frickin' left-leaning Supreme Court of New York said, it's unconstitutional. It's an unconstitutional gerrymander. Boo frickin' who? Where are the people in Texas saying that's unconstitutional? Where are the people in all the southern states saying that's unconstitutional? Right now, we have people in Louisiana. Louisiana finally got forced to have a second Democratic majority black district. Simply because we should have to. And now the Republicans in Louisiana are fighting that map and want to return it back to where there's only one seat to minimize the say that the Democrats have in the country and from Louisiana. Having the say that having it, like cutting it in half. But they should have more say. We should have the amount of say that we currently have. In fact, I would argue that we should have like a third district that's like a moderate district that can swing. Because there are plenty of Democrats who vote for conservative Democrats in the state, like John Bel Edwards. And they don't vote, but they won't vote for like a Hillary Clinton. Or they won't vote for Bernie Sanders, but they'll vote for John Bel Edwards. Which is why for a long time I've been talking about we need to just eliminate congressional districts altogether and elect slates of candidates. Because that way people can vote for who they want to vote for. And, you know, if you can get a half of the state or more, you'll get a half of the state or more's congressional seats. And the politicians wouldn't be able to control their voters at all. But that's too wild of an idea, I guess. Too crazy of an idea to push. But this is, again, New York was like, nope, sorry, you can't draw those maps. So that's how people like, at least Stefanik and other people in New York were able to, win seats that they shouldn't have won because they were forced to draw districts that were fair. But the Republicans don't play fair. If the Republicans aren't playing fair, and nobody's going to call them out on it, and nobody's going to stop in and step in on them, and who can step in? The courts. But the Supreme Court has basically just said that if you're a lower court, you have much less ability now to give a national injunction, a nationwide injunction. Your ability to stop the executive branch from doing what they want to do has been curtailed. Not completely. There's still some wiggle room there, but they've really clamped down on it. This is why this SCOTUS decision is harmful. We already have a patchwork of laws in this country with various different things. You go to one state, the laws say this. You go to another state, the law says this, which denies people equal protection under the law. Especially with Donald Trump's proposal to eliminate birthright citizenship, where and then you have like rulings in one state that say no, that's unconstitutional. You have rulings in another state that'll say, oh, that is constitutional. So then you have somebody who might be born in that blue-leaning state, who is considered a citizen there, but not considered a citizen in the other state. That doesn't make any frickin' sense at all. It just creates a patchwork of laws. And if we're all supposed to have equal protection under the law, if we're all supposed to be equal under the eyes of the law, then the laws we live on should be equal as well. But that's not the way it happens. And stopping stays is going to create even more patchworks of laws. And one of the ways that these patchworks work is that, Republican states are allowed to do whatever it is that they want to do, but the Democrats have to play nice. The Democrats have to play fair. Well, where has that gotten us? Playing nice and playing fair has given us a frickin' Nazi in the Oval Office. Somebody who's putting people in a goddamn concentration camp. Fuck being fair when people's lives are at risk. Fuck being fair when women are dying because they can't get an abortion to save their own goddamn lives. Fuck being fair when you have somebody in Georgia forced to be on life support, a freaking baby incubator, simply because they did a bad interpretation of what the law says in Georgia, because they're too afraid to go against the law, because they're too afraid to lose their law license or their medical license or both or whatever. Fuck being fair when Nazis are involved. Nazis don't deserve any fairness. Period. And that's a hill I'll die on. Anyway. Wait. Let's see. Suzanne says I'd call in, but people would make fun of me. I wouldn't make fun of you, Suzanne. I just don't know if I'm opening the phone lines today. Because, again, I'm very tired, and I have the procedure tomorrow. So, what's up, Lucky Minute? Good to see you. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you. Susie, I'm going to say hello to Susie Jones. Hey, Susie. The Goddess Kimchi is here. I didn't say hello to the Goddess Kimchi. Welcome, Goddess. Who else have I not said hello to that I've missed? If I have missed you, and don't feel slighted sometimes, I don't know if I said hello to Surrender Monkey. I think I responded to Surrender Monkey, but didn't say hello. So, hello. But yeah. So, I don't know. I think that rant was much more big hooky than big hook like that, than I might normally do. But yeah, I am angry at this shit. I am angry that we don't have the balls as a party to, do what needs to be done to win. And if we don't do what needs to be done to win, we gonna lose. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Now, some reason I made a mistake, I guess, last night, and I wanted to have one of my new videos go live during this show so that you'd hear it here first and then you could share it later. But apparently, I guess I hit AM instead of PM. So, just to go to a more jovial type of situation or whatever, to kind of lighten the mood a little bit, because even though we're angry, even though we're pissed off at the Nazis, even though we want to do things, we also, I think, need to make sure to have a little fun in our lives. And I introduced a little bit of that on Monday's show by showing two not necessarily parodies. I guess they're kind of parodies. But we had, the two songs that you heard if you were here at the beginning, the Tom Lehrer Marines, Send the Marines redo, and you had the Poisoning Pigeons in the Park redo as well. Both Tom Lehrer songs. Now, I've done 3 more. One of them's already live, and 2 of them will maybe live at some point this weekend, simply because of the fact that ChatGPT won't let me create the image yet. Because I still have the free ChatGPT program, because I can't afford to pay for all this AI stuff that I want to get done. So I have to slowly generate these things. Unless you want to start making it rain in the chat and start letting me start creating an AI fund that will allow me to, use AI ChatGPT much more often. So, Tim Farrell, Russia, I mean Epstein. Exactly. Let's see. Yeah, Suzanne. Big Hook says, Suzanne, it really isn't necessary to have everyone like you. Enough of us care. That should be enough. Self-esteem is your responsibility. Sometimes that means growing a thick skin. Yeah. I mean, I care about Suzanne as well. I think, I care about many of the people who listen to the show, who watch the show or whatever. But yeah, my life got much better once I stopped giving a crap about what everybody thinks. There are people who are good people in my life, and everybody else can go fuck themselves. If you're in my life, you're a good person. And I try and clear out the bad people in my life as much as possible. Anyway, so let's get back to the thing again. So there are actually 2 songs that I did today while I was in the waiting room. Like, I'm sitting there waiting to see the doctor about my colonoscopy. And so I decided to do, of course, do songs that Tom Lehrer did that are kind of sort of dirty-ish. But the one that I did last night that went live this morning, to describe what happened, if you haven't watched it already, go watch. You'll watch it after the show, but I'll play it right now. But make sure to share it. Tom Lehrer basically was saying back in the day that you have a lot of songs that come out of wars. So you have a war, and then a lot of songs will be inspired by the war, some war nostalgia. But he's worried that at the end of World War III, that there won't be anybody left to write the songs, so we need to write the songs now so that we have them. And as he called it, some pre-nostalgia. And so what I decided to do was I decided to create this song. Now, with the first 2, I did not change the lyrics at all. It's 100% the original lyrics. With this one, like one of the lyrics in the song is that Tom Lehrer sings. Now, while we're attacking frontally, watch Brinkley and Huntley, describing contrapuntily the cities we have lost, is how the song goes. But we don't listen to Brinkley and Huntley anymore. I mean, those aren't people in the media. So I had to come up with a word or somebody who is a reporter in the news, and then had to find that person's last name and who more people might be more familiar with, and then find words to rhyme with that. So you'll see how I change the lyrics now as I play So Long Mom, a song about little Johnny Jones who went off to fight bravely in World War III. Of course, instead of doing it as kind of like a folksy kind of war nostalgic song, I decided to instead make it a full-on country song instead. So without further ado, here is So Long.
So to drop the bomb, so don't wait up for me. But while you swelter down there in your shelter, you can see me on your TV. While we make a necropolis, watch George Stephanopoulos describing all the populace and cities we have lost. No need for you to miss a minute of the nuclear holocaust. Little Johnny Jones, he was a U.S. pilot, and no shrinking violet was he. He was mighty proud when World War III was declared. He wasn't scared, no siree. And this is what he said on his way to Armageddon. So long, Mom, I'm off to drop the bomb, so don't wait up for me. But though I may roam, I'll come back to my home, although it may be a pile of debris. Remember, Mommy, I'm off to get a commie, so send me a salami and try to smile somehow. I'll look for you when the war is over, an hour and a half from now.
And actually, the AI song actually went on for about another 2 minutes of song, just pure instrumental. And so I cut that off when I uploaded the video up to YouTube. So that is currently live on liberaldanradio.com. So if you think that's a good song, now sometimes AI does have to sometimes make a decision: is do I like the song enough where some of the little bit of the mispronunciation or some of the unclear words, do I let it go, or do I force chat or the AI software to say, hey, hey, this is let's redo it again and lose all the good stuff. So instead of while we're attacking frontally, watch Brinkley and Huntley, describe a country punily says we're lost, I did, while we make a necropolis, like i.e. lots of dead people, watch George Stephanopoulos talk about the populace and cities we have lost. So that's what I did there. So see, I like old school hip hop and cumbia, whatever. I live in Texas, so I like Hispanic hip hop. Nice. But anyway, so Tom Lehrer has 2 other songs, and so now these songs won't be available until I'm able to create the images and then able to get to my computer after my procedure tomorrow and put everything together and get them uploaded to YouTube. And then if it's late at night, I won't let it actually go live until the next day. So if you're familiar with Tom Lehrer's work, he has a song called Smut, where it's basically a protest song protesting censorship, and he's protesting censorship and doesn't want the Supreme Court to take away his right to look at pornography and other types of material such as that. So in this particular case, let's see, what was I decided to do it more as kind of like a 90s grunge rock type punk sound is what I was going for with the Smut redo. So as we're going through the music for that I've done for the show, just having a little fun towards the end, because again, this is not going to be a long show today. We're not going to go to 10. I don't know if we'll even make it to 9:15. I just, again, I'm tired. I really didn't sleep well last night, and again, I want to try and get enough rest as possible to be well rested enough for tomorrow's procedure. But I still wanted to play these 2 for y'all, to give y'all the sneak peek, because y'all are listeners and frequent listeners and avid listeners or whatever, want to make sure y'all get the sneak peeks. So here is the redo, the 90s grunge rock punk type sound redo of Tom Lehrer's Smut.
Smut, give me smut and nothing but a dirty novel I can't shut if it's uncut and unsucked. Oh, I've never quibbled. If it was ribbled, I would devour where others merely nibbled. As the judge remarked that day that he acquitted my importance to be smut, it must be utterly without redeeming social importance. Poor, no graphic pic pictures I adore. Indecent magazines galore. I like them more if they're hardcore. Prey on the obscene movies, murals, postcards, neckties, samplers, stained glass windows, tattoos, anything. More, I'm still not satisfied. Stories of tortures used by debauchers, lurid, licentious, and vile, make me smile. Novels that pander to my taste for cat to give me a pleasure sublime. Let's face it, I love slime. Old books can be indecent books, though recent books are bolder. For filth, I'm glad to say, is in the mind of the beholder. When correctly viewed, everything is lewd. I could tell you things about Peter Pan and the Wizard of Oz. There's a dirty old man I thrill to any book like Fanny Hill, and I suppose I'll always will if it is swill. And really filthy, who needs a hobby like Hannes or Phil Latley? I've got a hobby, we're reading Lighty Shadowly, but now they're trying to take it all away from us unless we take a stand. And hand in mind, we fight for freedom of the press. In other words, slut, I love it. The adventures of a slut. Oh, I'm a market they can't glut. I don't know what compares with smut. Hip, hip, hooray. Let's hear it for the Supreme Court. Don't let them take it away. I don't know what compares with smut. Hip, hip, hooray. Let's hear it for the Supreme Court. Don't let them take it away.
One of the things that I find interesting about AI is that I didn't tell AI to replay the second part of that last verse. It just decided it was going to do it all together, all by itself. And when I first heard the end of the last verse, I was like, wait, that doesn't sound like a good ending. And then it re-sang the last few lines, and I was like, all right, that works. I'm pretty impressed with that. So, yeah. So finally, now that song was on the Tom Lehrer's album, the year that was or whatever. So it was basically talking about a lot of the political aspects, the political things that took part in that day. You know, talking about the war, talking about, you know, I think the Send the Marines was like UN and OIS, they have their place, I guess, but first Send the Marines. A lot of things that are dated in that album, but a lot of other things are not. One of the things that wasn't on the album, though, is he wrote the Masochism Tango, right? So it's a song about, I guess, masochism or whatever. So he wrote the Masochism Tango. Well, not only did I feel like, again, I had to change some of the lyrics for this, but I also wanted to do something a little, not just Tom Lehrer, but a little bit of Weird Al inspired. So instead of doing the Masochism Tango, we've got the Masochism Polka.
I ache for the touch of your lips, dear, but much more for the touch of your whips, dear. You can raise welts like nobody else as we dance to the Masochism Polka. Let our love be a flame, not an ember. Say it's me that you want to dismember. Blacken my eye, set fire to my tie as we dance to the Masochism Polka. At your command, before you here I stand. My heart is in my hand. Ugh, it's here that I must be. My heart entreats, just hear those savage beats, and go put on your cleats and come and trample me. Your heart is hard as stone or mahogany. That's why I'm in such exquisite agony. My soul is on fire, it's aflame with desire, which is why I perspire when we coca. You caught my nose in your left castanet, love. I can feel the pain yet, love. Every time I hear drums and I envy the rose that you held in your teeth, love, with the thorns underneath, love, sticking into your gums. Your eyes cast a spell that bewitches. The last time I needed 20 stitches. Oh, sew up the gash that you made with your lash as we dance to the masochism polka. Bash in my brain and make me scream with pain, then kick me once again and say we'll never part. I know too well I'm underneath your spell, so darling, if you smell something burning is my heart. Excuse me, take your cigarette from its holder and burn your initials in my shoulder. Fracture my spine and swear that you're mine as we dance to the masochism polka.
All right. It does go a little long at the end there, too. For some reason, it likes long outros. But again, I've been having way too much fun with this. Of course, really couldn't do much of anything when it came to, you know, just waiting for the doctor. So it's not like I could be really productive with anything else. I mean, I could have looked up maybe some topics or whatever. But I was just like, nah, let's go ahead. And I didn't think. I thought the smut one was going to take forever. I thought it was going to be very difficult to do the one on smut. And it was actually pretty easy. I only had to make a couple of minor changes in how things were spelled to get it to work right, change the prompts a little bit, which I was like, oh, well, I'm done with smut, and the doctor hasn't seen me yet, so let's do the masochism tango. And then I'm like, how about we make and then I was trying to figure out what genre to do, and I'm like, what if it was a polka? What if we did the masochism polka? Yeah. So, yeah, anyway. So, and I really enjoyed the fact that, like, it just says like or whatever. There's no way for me to really say this is how I want you to sound when I say these words or whatever. When you say this like do it, be it like, you know, like your heart is in my hand, or the only thing I couldn't really do is I couldn't really make it belch, because in Tom Lehrer's version, he's like, if you hear something burning, it's my heart, and then he goes, excuse me. So I couldn't really throw that in there. Maybe I can put it in the post. I don't know. But when I try and upload it to YouTube. But the little ways that it actually understands the words and actually was like, okay, let's do that. But one of the things is like, sometimes it doesn't pronounce simple words correctly. I'm like, come on, why are you doing this? Because there was one song, it was actually even better than the last one that we just played, but it just couldn't pronounce like ache. It wasn't pronouncing ache right. Like, I ache for the touch of your lips, dear, but much more for the touch of your whips, dear, is the lyrics again. So, but it, half the time it wouldn't pronounce ache. And sometimes it wasn't even pronouncing I correctly. It was aki, or whatever. I'm like, what's wrong with you? This is why I'm not necessarily concerned about Skynet taking over at this point. Let's see. Suzanne, does it come in an R&B tune or smooth jazz music? That one doesn't necessarily, but I can put in any type of music. And so I could be like, I want this to be R&B. I want this to be smooth jazz. I think the Baby Incubator was, I put in as a prompt as rap and R&B, and we'll listen to those as we leave. And those are not Tom Lehrer's songs. That's just my original songs, even though Baby Incubator's song wasn't, you know, it was mostly written by ChatGPT. So anyway, so I pretty much, that'll be done for the show today. You know, wish me luck tomorrow for my procedure. It shouldn't be that bad. It shouldn't be difficult. And I'll obviously, I'll let y'all know either, you know, on YouTube, on Facebook, and on maybe Blue Sky that, you know, everything's done with or whatever once I'm awake and aware. But anyway, so there's that. That's that tomorrow, and then I'll be taking off Friday from work because I want to make sure that I get nice, good, well rested or whatever. But again, glad y'all came by. Wish I could have made it a longer show, but, you know, again, tired, hadn't been sleeping well, and hopefully that'll be fixed sometime soon after I get that done. But I'll probably get better night's sleep once my left knee gets fixed and then doesn't hurt anymore, because that's most of my problem, has been most of my problem. That's why I think the back problem might be musculoskeletal, even though I have the kidney stone issue, is simply because I'm doing so much adjusting, you know, with my body to try and shift, you know, so I'm not on my knee, that maybe it's throwing my back out a little bit. Anyway. Let's see, Big Hook says, my biggest breakthrough was not looking for an apology, but realizing that the abuse was generational past and angry mental illness manifested on the easiest target. I hope this helped. I had a very similar thought about that earlier today, about somebody. So, I see you, we're right there. So anyway, thank y'all so much, appreciate it. We will end with a couple of the other original Liberal Dan Radio songs, Liberal Dan Radio music. If you like those, again, the ones that are currently on YouTube, share them, you know, spread the word, let everybody know that, you know, I'm doing this fun stuff, especially if they're Tom Lehrer fans, but other people might enjoy it as well. Share other videos. Again, we're trying to hit that 3,000 mark by the end of the year. I'd love to be able to get that done, but can't do it without engagement of the algorithm and everything like that. So thank y'all so much. Appreciate y'all. Peace.
They wrote it in the laws, ink still bleeds, treating women like soil, just planting seeds. She's gone, brain dead, not even awake, but the state's got a claim, gonna plant its stake. Say it's God's will, say it's life they protect, but they ain't the ones feeling pain or neglect. From Texas to Georgia, they set the trap, rights rolled back while they smile and clap. Gilead's here, this is true. Hey MAGA fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. This ain't pro-life, it's control and shame. They don't care if she's gone, just playing a game. Keep her hooked to machines, cold and still, just a vessel to them, not a human with will. No consent, no voice, no chance to resist, just laws in place, written with a clenched fist. Hospitals scared, judges playing God, bodies like temples, just stay on pods. Gilead's here, this is true. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. Bands in the dark, they don't care who it kills, sacking courts while they strip out all of your wills. But we'll fight back, march loud, burn bright, cause this ain't the end, it's the start of the fight. Gilead's here, ain't no grace, and those leopards are coming to eat your face. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator.
The creative director at WGSO had a little something he thought you should know. When Dan picked on his bits, Steve got real gruff. So Steve called Dan a flake, called him liberal dandruff. Steve thinks that his lines are really clever, but when do people ever like him? Never. Liberal Dan's got better lyrics, this is true. Listen and you'll feel like I do. Liberal Dan, his show is great. Liberal Dan, he goes live at 8. Liberal Dan, radio, it's the best, cause Liberal Dan's head and shoulders above the rest. Steve's about to find out his mistake. In this feud, Dan's Kendrick, Steve is Drake. Dan might not be the world's best singer, but he's got more talent in his little finger. Steve thinks that his lines are really clever, but when do people ever like him? Never. Liberal Dan's got better lyrics, this is true. Listen and you'll feel like I do. Liberal Dan, his show is great. Liberal Dan, he goes live at 8. Liberal Dan Radio, it's the best, cause liberal Dan's head and shoulders above the rest. A self-proclaimed king, a groper in chief, stealing our country, a crooked orange thief. Faux patriots who are poorly educated, wearing red hats and also unvaccinated. Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, the animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. A failing media that's barely treading water. They're too inept to fight this new world order. Corporate pigs are at the trough, hear the squeals. The swine won't bite the hands that feeds them meals. But Liberal Dan will see us flow. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. A leftist voice on air, exposing MAGA treason, breaking through their lies with facts, logic, and reason. Unmasking hypocrisy, the truth will be our guide. Call out their lies, justice is on our side. Cause Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right.